So, Dominika, welcome to HR Heroes. Thank you so much for being on this podcast today. I appreciate it a lot. But yeah, my first question for you is why HR?
Well, first of all, Molly, thank you for having me. It's great to be here. And wow, why HR? Okay, well, firstly, and in all honesty, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So I've tried a lot of different, paths and careers, and I was just, thinking, now this is not for me, this is not for me, and this is not for me. I studied finance and banking for a couple of years. I was a junior accountant, lots of spreadsheets, lots of just thinking, oh my God, I'm hating it. Like, this is not going to work. And then moved to UK and again started in hospitality, waitressing, receptionist, guest restaurant, and still thinking, no, this is not for me. I could not do this for a living. And still trying to figure out, but what is it, that I want to do? And it was sort of at the same time as my auntie back home, started to progress within her HR career. And I started to look into her, and obviously being, quite close talking, and she's been telling me what she's doing, what she's up to. And then I started to pay a little bit more attention as to what the HR team within the hotel I worked in were doing. And I thought, oh, right, okay, well, they're dealing with people. There is a little bit of fun element. It's a little bit of that, I thought, okay, I think I could do that. So then very much when actually it was the HR administrator who was living at the hotel at the time, I put my, name forward, applied for the job, thinking, yes, I can do it. Yes, I mean, gotten a job and never looked back since, I guess.
Wow, I love it. That's a unique story in terms of a strong female mentor, I guess, in the family, being able to introduce to HR. But sometimes you do need that seed planting, don't you? When it's kind of you're exploring career options and you've got a certain set of skills, but you need someone maybe to kind of suggest career avenues you hadn't even thought of before.
Yeah, and I think often we are, led to believe, you have to go to university, you have to know what you want to do. And there will be some people, perhaps within your family, that was the case for me, who will say, I think you should study X, Y, and Z. And that was the finance and banking. And my grandfather, he had very clear pathway, for me. He's planned this career and everything, but that was never going to work for me because I don't necessarily enjoy spreadsheets and numbers as much as I enjoy people. So that was, that was a little bit tricky. And then when I've kind of, started in HR, then I just figured, right, okay, there's no stopping. This is it. This is where I can, be around people. Which I've always loved. I come from sports background, team sports, basketball. So always with people, it is that teamwork element. There is a fun, there's a bit of a competition going on, a lot of that. And then I felt I could find all these things within HR. So that's, I think, was like this smoother transition.
It's a fantastic feeling to have when suddenly the stars sort of align and your skill set and what you enjoy becomes your occupation. And it's suddenly like every day feels more enjoyable in the role. But I do agree. I think there's more work to be done around kind of universities and I guess the education system as a whole pushing the careers forward, because I know for me as well, it was always consulting, law or finance were sort of the three options. And actually there's so much more out there. And similar to you, spreadsheets weren't for me. I definitely enjoy speaking to people every day a little bit more. I think people like yourself would be maybe wasted behind a screen because you're so personable as well. So
I just think it's that, isn't it? It's putting us into boxes, if we like, and into boxes that we don't naturally fit. So it's like trying to mold yourself into a shape, but that quite frankly is not your natural shape. There we go.
Yeah, now you found the right place to be. But that's interesting. So what would your advice be to someone starting out in HR, or one piece of advice you wish you'd known when you'd started? Obviously you had your auntie to direct you, but I'm sure there's stuff out there that you wish you'd known.
Yeah, well, I think that the piece of advice, and probably in all honesty, it's not necessarily a piece of advice for necessarily someone starting in HR, but I guess in any job, in all honesty, it's, however small or big the job, I guess, try to become as knowledgeable about the job and about the tasks that are within your remit that you can.
Mhm.
Like really just go into that and own it. Like be hungry to learn, to understand. Don't just take it, oh, okay, and carry on. No. Just really let yourself in, like allow yourself to explore it, to learn. Because if you embrace it, only good things can come out of it. Whereas I think if you are a bit on, on a bench, or, you resist, you're just not going to find this as enjoyable, first thing. And, enjoyable work is very important for me to this date. It's kind of make it your own, but also own it, because that way, you gain credibility. And I guess then if you want to progress, we don't all, but if you do, people will say, right, there is this person, and they will already, you've already built the trust with, however, as I said, small the job may be. Maybe you're very first, maybe it's an administration, maybe you're in the customer service, that first person picking up the phone. But like the more knowledge you have, like it's just going to help you in, as I said, any job, I think, really.
Yeah.
And there's just so many resources around us, more than ever. I think we're so fortunate, because you could literally just like go online, type something up, and it's endless. Yes, sometimes might be a little bit difficult to whiff through it because there is so much. But then it's there, it's at your doorstep. You don't even have to like leave your house, but you could as well talk to people, ask people, by all means. But it's all there, and it's for free. So it's like, just grab it.
Take every resource possible and run with it. Yeah, that's fantastic advice. I couldn't agree more. I think diversifying what you learn and your skill set is nothing but another string that you can add to your bow, I suppose, in terms of, like you say, in the future, as you develop through your career, you might actually look back to one interaction that you had in the administrator role where you tried something different or new that actually you can pull the experience from at a much later date. So
And it definitely happens, I think. So this whole thing of, keep learning, be hungry, like don't just set at it. As I said, doesn't matter the job, but just, keep being curious, interested, like that will make a difference, and it's going to help. Like I said, no matter the job is going to help.
yeah.
And then the second thing that I actually wish somebody told me, I really wish somebody told me, was like, find yourself a helpful soul. And what I mean by it, we like to say, a mentor. But for some people, a mentor, that sounds, or coach, that sounds quite corporate. Some people don't understand, quite frankly. And thinking about this already might build walls for some of us to reach out. So it's not even necessarily that. A helpful soul could be your grandparents, grandparent, it could be the auntie, it could be someone that, at your workplace that's in a different function, at a different level. It's not about it, but just someone that, can challenge you, can listen to you, maybe guide you a little bit, just isn't necessarily, seeing everything through your lens. And will just push you, because these people, they will push you, us, and we don't always like it, we don't necessarily enjoy it, but it will help. That the helpful soul, someone that you could just bounce, just say, oh, this is the situation, and just hearing out the different perspective, different view, it really helps. It really, really helps. And I think it makes a huge difference. And I mention a grandparent here because I often think about, as well, the older generation, the people who are, coming, effectively out of work, as going into retirement, and all the skills that are being lost as the generation departs. And I feel that as if we can, not everyone can, had a closer relationship with our own, like I said, grandparents, I think there's so much that we could learn from them. And they could learn from us as well, because word keeps on, moving, right? And I just think it's a sort of maybe sometimes lost connection, and the connection that could really, really help. And again, in any career, I think it's not the HR, it's just for anyone. It's just nice to have that. And I wish somebody, actually said it to me in that way, rather than trying to, find my own way. Eventually getting there, understanding it. But yes, I wish I knew it sooner.
That's fantastic. I think I'm going to employ that in my day-to-day life in terms of helpful soul. I've got probably a few unofficial helpful souls in my life. Yeah, I definitely agree. Being able to soundboard ideas
Yes.
on you trust. And sometimes, like you say, if you've got a mentor, it might feel not intimidating, but sometimes you might feel like you have to be someone you're not, or come up with ideas, or portray yourself in a certain way. Whereas if it's a grandparent, a family member, a friend, someone in the company you trust, then you can be a lot more open and honest and probably come to a better solution on how to move forward. But I love the fact with grandparents as well, because often I think that we're teaching them everything and kind of upskilling them. Oh, well, actually, maybe we can look back retrospectively and learn a lot from their skill set as well. So I love that. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, however, whether we like it or not, they are ahead of us. They are ahead of us in life. So it may not necessarily be the technology, like you said, we feel like we are teaching them, but there's just so much more that they know because they've experienced more, and you learn best through the experiences. So, it's there.
And they've seen so much change as well. I had this conversation the other day in terms of our grandparents and parents' generation have probably seen the most rapid change to technology, the world, politics, everything in such a short space of time. So their perspective probably is well-rounded and welcomed in those scenarios. Perfect. Okay. And where do you see then the field of HR heading in the next 5 years?
Well. I really feel that the HR is heading more towards the kind of business advisor or the sounding board level than most definitely the administrative, and all of that, because we do have the beauty of the AI that we'll talk about. There's Boots, there's all these other things, systems that are starting to replace some of that, the manual, the administration, which is brilliant. I think this is brilliant because I genuinely believe people are better at the human connection and that level rather than, necessarily, hiding. Yes. So I think for me, it is the business advisor. And for me, really, it's about connecting the dots. So very much so. And I think the more we are, at the table, if we like, the more we are, whether it's at the board level or, senior teams, the more need there to connect everything that's going around and link it back to the people. Because all of the businesses, all of the organizations, even the ones that are, very much technology led, everywhere are people. And we cannot forget about that. And it really is connected for me, all of that, whether it's from sales, from marketing, from, I could be house, wherever that is coming from, is linking everything that's happening. It's really having the context around. It is looking around what is going on in the world, how this is impacting people, that social connection, that social element. So I think in my view, there's definitely more of the business advisory role that I think HR is taking. Definitely more involvement, I think, in the ESG, which I think historically a lot of people have seen as a little bit of maybe health and safety, or there's someone that does it as a side job. We've got this policy, but we frankly do very little about it. And again, it's because the younger generations, this matters to people more. So it needs attention that I think at the moment it doesn't necessarily receive. And it is human, and therefore I link it, more to the HR function. And I think we're also, becoming more and more of because of the branding, because of the employer branding, there is more crossovers with marketing for HR. So really it is starting to understand, what does it actually mean? What is it to market things to the people within the organization? It's not just, I think historically, we had been the function, that's very much, admin driven, policy, and. And that for me, I think is changing, that the human element is definitely rising. People, employees have been recognized as, that needed the brand, they are like internal customers to some extent, right? That effectively, that's who they are for the HR. So these are the kind of functions, if you like, that I see becoming more and more of HR function that I suppose what it currently is.
That's really interesting. I mean, you can definitely sense that there's a change within the industry as a whole. I think everyone that I've spoken to within a HR role is finding that it's diversifying more in terms of what comes under your remit. And I think having that finger on the pulse of the business, like you say, you're interacting with people on a day-to-day basis. You're aware of the people challenges, which quite directly translate often to the wider business challenges. And it's quite a crucial role in linking those two together. But the marketing thing's really exciting as well. I think it goes back to what you said earlier about making sure that you kind of get stuck into all the different skills across the business, because you don't know which way it's going to pivot next and which department HR is going to be working closely with to drive better outcomes for the business as a whole. So that's really interesting. Would you have any advice on how you go about kind of becoming more of a business advisor within the business? Or
I would definitely, excuse me, I would definitely agree with what you have just said around, just going out there, learning, and don't, be open. Even if you think, oh, this is not HR today, doesn't mean it's not going to be HR in 5 to 10 years. And then again, to better understand, to better connect the dots, you need to have a better understanding of this other functions and what else is happening there. Mm-hmm. So I think we have always had, but more so, we are the mediator within the business. So there's a way to look at this. You are the connecting the dots, or you are mediating between, maybe the departments that have very much conflicting interests, perhaps, and usually it does come to us to then kind of figure it out. And it's hard to figure anything out if you don't understand it. So it's, allowing yourself the time to understand other functions, other realities around us. Again, it's getting the context. Yeah. So the context for HR, I really believe in that, my context, my world is not just my HR bubble. For me to become this business advisor, for me to really be able to give sound advice to move us forward, it's understanding the context, not just within the company. I guess it is the context within the country you may be operating, may as well be globally. In the last years, we had so many changes that affected all of us globally. Nobody could have predicted it, and that's fine, but we have to recognize it. And then it's exactly, so now what has changed since? And a lot of things have changed. Mm-hmm. And I guess there's an element as well of making sure I think we should be early. Quite often we know before other functions know. We tend to have that sense of, what's going on. We tend to pick up because we listen. I guess we talk to different people within the different functions. And I think sometimes it's about not being shy to bring this up, to be that voice for the people who may not have yet addressed something, but for us to already, put it up as a challenge and say, well, this is starting to, float. Let's think about it before it is a thing, I suppose.
Yeah, it's super interesting what you've just said in terms of the changes as well, because I guess with there being so many changes in the world, who does it impact the most? Your people. And so you almost have to be one step ahead of that to be able to prepare how to best support them through that or to cope with things. But I suppose what you've just said as well about the cross functionality is almost having 10 hats that you could put on and deciding which one you can put on each day.
It helps. Yeah. Multiple hats help.
Fantastic. And then sort of, I guess the last question for you really is, what's the best cultural initiative you've seen implemented across any business? So it can be one that you've worked in, one that you've seen elsewhere that's been fantastic, but open to you.
I think that, there's a lot of great initiatives. And I think some of the best initiatives I have seen are the initiatives where you really, through that message, you really share it with the people, the fact that you really believe in your business, that vision, mission, and values, and you sort of literally, inject this into your people so they feel the same way. If I think of, as an example, Nike, huge, obviously, corporation, being the sports, background, always looking up to the Nikes of the world. But, I remember when they started the running clubs. And the running clubs, this is now years ago, and the running clubs, they started, it was very much employee-led initiative. So they started internally what they're all about. What is their external message? It's just do it, it's run, it's, we all know what they are. But it was injecting that into their people. And then it's just watching the ripple effects, because I think the Nike running clubs are global, and they no longer just the employee, initiative. No, anyone can sign up, anyone can join, anyone can be a part of it. So it is the community that they have created, but they created that community based on, believing in their business, right? It is their values, it is their mission, and vision, and then involving your people into helping you to spread that message. And I think that's no matter what you do, how small or big the business, the more people from your company that you can involve in any initiative would then help you just, spread the ripple effect. I think that's all I can say, I suppose. So that would be my best cultural initiative. It's a movement. It's just treating it as a movement, because that's effectively what it is about. And the movement is best when you can move as many people as you can. And you may be starting small, maybe you're starting a movement with 5 people, maybe it's 2 of you. That's okay. It's already a movement.
Just start moving somewhere.
yes. Because before we know it, someone's going to say, oh, what are they doing? What are they doing? Have you heard about this? Have you seen it? And it will happen.
Yeah.
And then just to bring it home, I mean, recently at my current workplace, we were launching very first engagement survey for the company. And what we have done is exactly that. We have created a movement. So we had used our people, and we used effectively 5% of our workforce to become our agents for the initiative. And they loved it, and we loved it. I mean, it created the energy, it created the buzz. They just make it happen, with me having, a meeting or 2 with the people, and they just then went in and did it, And we've achieved 82% participation rate for the first time survey, which is absolutely amazing. But it was giving it to the people, to our workforce, and they just went and did it. So there you go.
See, it's so interesting to hear, because I wouldn't even think of the running club as being a cultural initiative that started within a business and has grown to, being such a, like you say, global community or event now. But it does just go to show that if you actually start something with the intent of it involving your people, lifting your mission values off the page, which is really quite difficult to do, it shows the success that it can have, because it's genuine as well. You're not just dictating a list of values and a mission to your people. It's giving them that mission to live, breathe, and I guess bring to life further.
People love to be involved. People love a little bit of initiative. People love to be part of something, and it's that. And sometimes I think it's, let it be, let it loose, let it happen and see. And you know what? If things go wrong, let's learn from it. Then, let's take the lessons and do something else next time and learn from it. But just let it happen. What's worse that can happen? I mean, quite frankly, risks are low. So,
well, and clearly the engagement, as you mentioned, from the back of it, the data tells the story, right? Like, you can't argue with the results of that. And it's amazing to see that it can kind of start, as you say, as the seeds of something small, or starting small movements, and what it can grow into after that. Just giving it a try, like you say, you've got to try new things, I guess, to be innovative and to survive in the current climate as well. You've got to try new things. But yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for your time on that.